Alright, hey Savages. So we just got back from fishing. Didn't have a whole lot of luck out at the lake, but we got a homestead here where we grow a garden in 2 separate areas, and we get these little guys that come in on a regular basis and get into our garden. In California, we can trap these things year-round without having a trapper's license, as long as we're protecting our homestead and protecting our garden. So we use live traps, and we usually dispatch, clean, and eat them. We'll throw them right into a stew. So I'm going to go ahead and dispatch this thing right now. I don't know if that will include that onto the video, but here's our rabbit, and I do a quick cervical dislocation. Essentially, I pull back on the feet here, and I pull forward on the neck and bend it back.
Oh! Accepted! Son of a bitch!
Alright guys, so we just dispatched the rabbit. You can see the nerves are still firing a little bit here. One of the first things that I'm going to do is remove the head. And we'll usually have a little gut pile. I'll just kind of throw it right here for now. If you have dogs, depending on the dogs, they can eat all of these extra parts that you're not going to use. I like to keep my stuff relatively clean. So if we're doing this outside, I try to clean it up as much as possible. All right. I also like to keep my animal clean. So if we're inside, I'll hose it down, wash it off a bit. If we're outside, I'll just dump it in a bucket. One of the first things I do is I'll take these back legs and I'll break them. You might have to do this again when it comes time for the butchering. Cut right around this ankle bone. Don't cut too deep on the back side of this tendon or the muscle will roll up on you. Muscle rolls up on you, it's not too big of a deal. Once that's down, you're going to take the skin and all you're going to do is just peel back on it like a sock. Do this on both sides. And again guys, at any time you can just re-dunk this rabbit. Get the back side right behind the tail. Peel this whole thing down, like I said, just like a sock coming off. So I tore open the guts a little bit. At this point, if that happens to you, you guys can take the time, since this has already been cut off, and get that out. You don't want this thing to rupture inside. Looks like this boy had a pretty big bladder. You can see here it was male. Here's the male organs. I'll usually flip this thing back upside down. All those guts will come out. Reach up right inside there. Pull them all out. Okay, I'm going to leave the rabbit in here. I like to take these kidneys because we eat them. A little piece of the liver there. The rest of that's going to go in our gut pile, right where the head is. And we could probably take this urine sac and do the same thing. All right. Genitals. Again, you can keep that stuff if you want, guys. You don't have to. I'm going to go ahead and take the time to finish ripping off that. Throw that in our gut pile. From here, I cut right up to the breastbone. Liver, the other kidney. We have the cardiopulmonary tract, so I'm going to save the heart here. I usually inspect all these organs anyways. I don't eat the lungs. You can. going to finish cutting this area open so I can get the rest of the poop tract out, digestive tract. All that stuff's going to go down there. From here, I'm going to wash it back off in your bucket. Take this opportunity, guys, to show you a little bit about the kidneys or the internal organs. These are the internal organs that we keep, provided everything looks good. So one of the things that you're looking for on the liver is this black piece right here, gallbladder. You want to get rid of that. Don't want to puncture that. It's going to taint your liver meat. I like to trim it up a little bit. The other thing we're looking for is make sure that this is smooth and a nice dark color. If you see white spots or it's rough, then the rabbit could have coccidiosis. Now we're in a cold month, so the chances of it having cocci is not very good. Inspect it nonetheless. Okay, another little piece of the liver here, we'll keep that. So we got our heart. I always put these things over to the side. Kids gobble them up. Saute them with some butter, salt and pepper, and it's good to go. All right, a nice little piece of meat there. Rest of that stuff, again, I'm gonna clean off my cutting board. Put my knife back here. Take a look at our rabbit.
Here you go.
All right, so we got our rabbit here. You guys can clean it up a bit. The wife likes it when I clean it as much as possible. Two different ways you can get these feet off. So I don't have scissors out here, so I'm going to use a knife. All right, so we're just going to cut right at the joint here, front and the back, and it should come right off. And we'll get that cleaned up later. Same thing, right at this joint, right where it bends. Break it the opposite way. And again, cut it right off. If you drop your rabbit like I just did, no big deal. Put it back in your bucket, clean it off. You're gonna want to do that a few times anyways, guys. Provided you're doing it out where there's a bucket. And you're not doing it inside where a sink is. All right, we're gonna do the same thing with these. Try and get as much of that hair off as possible. Bend that back the opposite way, it'll pop. From there, cut it off. Bend that back the opposite way. Cut it off. All right, so now you have your rabbit. Here's pretty much what it's going to look like. You want to clean it up as much as possible. I'm going to show you guys a quick butchering of it. Essentially what you want to do, I'm going to switch over knives here because I use a different knife when I do all of these fine cutting things. I try to keep my knives sharp. I usually sharpen them after the use, so I don't have to sharpen them when I want to use them. Okay? All right, guys, so essentially you're going to see this, you're going to feel a bone here, and you're going to see these attachments. All you want to do when you're quartering these animals out is run your knife right along those attachments. Boom, easy as that. Again, if you get to the point where you feel like you're stuck, just go ahead and try to re-break that bone. Nice quartered pieces out. I'm doing the same thing here, kind of just cutting right around the shoulder piece. A lot of this rib meat we're not going to use. Again, guys, if you have dogs, they love those things. So you can use every part of this animal. You can eat every part of this animal if you want to. But if you're not planning on eating certain parts of the animal, you can feed it to the dogs. Now, I have heard of people who feed their dogs all of the internal organs. We chose not to do that. There you go, quartered, and then here's this piece. We fed the dog the head, pretty much everything except for the actual gut pile. All right, how we looking on time? Good? All right, last little piece here, I'm gonna show you guys how to get this back strap off. What I normally do, and I don't know if you guys can see, is I'll cut right down the spine, all the way down to the bottom. Then I'll start working on one side of the spine, and all I'm doing is making these light cuts. Now, as you can see, one of the things that's kind of holding this stuff on is this like silver skin. So you can take the silver skin off now, or you can take the silver skin off after you fillet it. Don't feel bad about flipping this thing back and forth if you need to. Okay? Put a little pressure on it, cut. A little pressure, cut. A little pressure, cut. You're going to go all the way along the spine. So you guys should see I'm leaving little quarter pound, little chunks on there, and I don't want to do that. Try to get it off as much as possible. And I'm just cutting right along those ribs. I don't know if you guys can see those ribs. I'm cutting right down along those ribs. Again, when you're done with this carcass though, your dog's going to love you to death if you give it to him. We had a German Shepherd here visiting us for a while, and she loved it when we caught rabbits. Because she got to eat good. She ate good anyways, but instead of eating dog food. Also, one thing I want to note, guys, is when you're kind of butchering an animal like this, it is significantly easier if it's already cold or frozen. This is kind of the hard way of doing it, but we don't typically wait too long. If you guys are going to be coming up here doing what I'm doing, just be careful, be really careful you don't cut yourself. Alright, that was one side. And come over here on the other side. You can see that silver skin. That's what I was talking about before, guys. You can get your finger underneath that silver skin, especially on these smaller game like rabbit, and you can kind of work the knife in there and get that silver skin off. Trust me when I tell you, when it comes time to cooking this thing, you're going to wish you'd done that. So I showed you not getting the silver skin off the first time, and then this is getting it off before you fillet it. So we'll have to get it off this later. Alright, I just peel that silver skin back. And same thing, I'm going to go right down along the side of that. Cut it a few times. I'm going to start down here and just work right on the side of those ribs. I'm going to do my best to try to get as close as I can to those ribs. Get as much meat as possible.
Okay.
Alright. This is a process, guys, that you are going to get better and better at the more you do it. So don't feel bad if you just butcher the crap out of your animal when you first start. What I recommend, if this is something you guys want to do, want to learn how to do, I would recommend doing it on rabbits and squirrels and stuff to start, and not on like a piece of big game. Alright, so there's going to be your back straps on the rabbit. You can see I cut right along those ribs there. Right along the ribs. There's a little bit of meat left, but it's not too bad. Okay, all this rib meat, no good. We don't typically eat it, but we do eat these little loins on the inside. So, cut on the inside of this animal. Get these loins out. Alright guys, that's it. There's your animal. It's fully done. If you guys want, before you guys package it up, take it inside your house, or you know, if you guys are out camping or something like that, just give this an extra good once over. Make sure you get all that hair off and little pieces of animal that's not meat that you don't want. clean it up the best you can. I know for my wife, she likes it when I do that. And then, like I said, those organs right there are a delicacy. They never even make their way into the refrigerator. The kids eat those things up right away. Provided they're good. Again, if you guys see kochi or something that just doesn't look right, it's not that, you know, nice bright color, you can go on any forums on Facebook, or you can even ask us. Take a picture of it, send it to us, and say, hey, does this look right? What do you think? We've been hunting and catching and trapping and cleaning game for quite some time. Between me and Fenris, we probably got, gosh, well over 2 decades into this thing. So we have seen some strange stuff. Now guys, you guys can cut these down further if you want, or you can just batter these things on up. Wait till you get about 15-20 of them, and batter them up, and use them as wings. What we normally do is make a stew out of them. My wife makes an amazing stew. These things you don't need to make a stew out of. You can make these right in the pan. Season them and throw them right in the pan. They're delicious. All right, guys. Hey, listen, we really appreciate you coming along with us on this little journey of how to dispatch and clean a piece of small game. A large game is just going to be more to it. It's pretty much similar to that. The only exception is when you're dealing with an animal that's got a scent gland. Thank you for all the support. If you guys have any questions, or you break an animal down a little bit differently, you think you have a better method, or you know you have a better method, go ahead and drop them in the comment section below so we can all learn from it. We really appreciate you guys watching. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe and hit that little notification bell. If you don't follow us on Facebook or Instagram, we update that stuff every single day, and we put about 2 videos a week on our YouTube page. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and as always, stay savage.